Good evening, this is Mike Leonard, and you're in tune with Friday Night Photoshop. Tonight we're going to do something kind of fun, polar coordinates in Photoshop. Not sure what that is? Well, we'll take a look here in just a moment. So the idea of polar coordinates is to take a scene like this and turn it into something like this. We can take a scene like this and turn it into something like this. We can take a scene like this and turn it into this. Now, how is this happening? If you look at this original image, the key is to make the right side match the left side. And what we're going to do is we're going to make these wrap around. And I'm going to show you how to do that tonight. Now, I'd like to just call your attention to Friday Night Photoshop on Facebook, because on this page there are files that you can download, and tonight I'm going to be talking about polar coordinates in 7 easy steps. You can click on this to download this PDF file and print this out, and you can follow along. So we're going to look at some images that Friday Night Photoshop contributor Beth Whittam has donated for the cause, and she's got some beautiful skyline shots of Boston. And this is a nice shot of the skyline in Boston, and in this case I'm really only interested in the skyline. So let's see what we're going to do here. First of all, if I go to the 7 easy steps, the first one says to open an image that you wish to use. Here we go. So this is a raw file, and it's very important to have a level horizon. So I'm going to confirm that just by going up here to this angle and just draw a line right along this horizon. There we go. And now that's level. That's all I had to do. So I'll come out of this. If there's anything I want to tweak here, now is a good time to do it. And maybe I would like to sharpen this up just a little. I did do some editing earlier, I gotta say, just to bring out some more detail in the sky. And for the detail down here, I already did some masking just to get rid of some of the noise that was in there. There's not much noise, I'll tell you. It's a very clean shot. So this looks pretty nice just as is. So now, how big do I want to make this when I go to open this? Let's just go in resize to fit, and I'm going to choose inches. And let's just say I'm going to make this 10 inches on the long side. And I'm going to say OK to that. And we'll open this image. Now the image is open in Photoshop. What I need to do next is to crop so that the picture is flush with the edges with no border. Consider eliminating more of the bottom portion of the image and favoring a little more on the top when cropping. The bottom of the image will become the center of the circular image, and the top will become the outside. Okay, so let's do a crop here. I want to keep all the sky, and I'm going to come right down to this horizon. I'm not going to have any water in this shot, so I'm going to crop right there. And if I go to image and then crop, now I've got just the skyline. All right, now we go to step 3 of 7. We're almost done, right? We're going to use filter, other, and offset to check the alignment of the edges. So this is filter, and then we go to other, which is down here, and then we go to offset. And we can move this left or right however we might want. This is a little touchy, but that's all I need. Now, this right here was the left-hand side of the image, and right over here was the right-hand side of the image. The buildings don't quite perfectly line up there, but we can probably do something to make this work. And the bigger issue, though, is the sky. And we really need to have the sky blend a little better. So before we go any further, this is where we have to get creative with any tool that you're familiar with. I like to use the patch tool because I can come in here. I have to unselect that. All right. Come in here, and if I just take like a portion of this, like this, and let's say if I move this over into the brighter area, you can see how that just puts a nice contrast between these two areas. Let's just see what I can do here without wiping out any buildings. And what if I were just to move that there? You see, that made that a little bit smoother. Now again, I'm going to use this patch tool to try and see if I can maybe make all that go even smoother just by sampling another part of the sky. That's looking a little better. Still looks like we might have like a tornado in this area, but let's just see, what can we do with maybe the spot healing brush tool? And if I make this brush a little smaller, can I get rid of that line right in there? Yep, I did. And I might want to use the clone tool right in this corner of this building, because I'm afraid that if I were to try and use this patch tool, oh, that actually worked pretty good. Okay, that's not bad. I take that back. All right, so that's not too awful. We do see a line here. The idea is to put this together such that you don't see a line. That's going to be important that you'll see in the end. Let's use the patch tool one more time. Let's just see if I can't maybe come in here and try and smooth out this area in here. Maybe I'll go over to this side just to see what happens. Still getting it. Like I say, use whatever tool you want to blend that, to make that better. So I'm going to pretty much call that good. Now, the good thing is we know for a fact that the right-hand side here is going to exactly match the left-hand side here. Because remember, it was here in the middle where things were different. So let's go back to the sheet. Step number 4 says, go into Image, all right, here's Image, and then go to Image Size, here's Image Size, and resize the image to be square. Seems kind of an odd thing to do, but to make this a square, and we were going to make this 10 inches by 10 inches, we need to uncheck this little link, because with this checked, whatever I do on one side is going to be affected on the other side. But in this case, I want this to be 10 by 10, and I want this to be distorted, just like that. Now, this was at 300 pixels per inch. Now we have to go to Image again, and Rotation, Image Rotation, and we're going to rotate this 180 degrees to tip it upside down. Now here, I'm adding this step. I'm going to just say, what if I were to go in here with this tool? Can I maybe make that look a little more believable? Look at that. Yeah, I didn't like that one. So Control Z to the rescue. All right. Again, sky replacement might be something to consider here. So that was step 5, going to image rotation, turning it upside down. Now we're going to go to Filter and Distort and polar coordinates. So here's Filter, and then we go to Distort, and then we go to polar coordinates. See where I found that? And in this menu, we choose rectangular to polar, and then we just say OK. And now we have our Boston skyline wrapped around. And you can see where we had to splice it here, but that doesn't look too bad. That doesn't bother me too much. Now from here, just to finish things up, what you might want to do is to put a circle crop around this and maybe use a feather. So let's just try this. I'm going to choose the elliptical marquee tool. I need the fixed ratio of 2 by 2. Could be 1 by 1, 8 by 8, whatever you want. And I'm just going to draw a circle while my finger is still clicking the left-hand mouse key. I hit the space bar. Now I can move that without resizing it. I'm going to go a little bit more, and the whole idea is to try and get that circle in the center. I'm going to go a little bigger. All right, I think that circle is pretty much in the center right there. Now, I mentioned having a feather of maybe 20 pixels. So that's where I enter it, 20 pixels. Now what I'd like to do is select the inverse. That means everything outside of that circle. So I've got the circle around the city here the way I'd like it. I have to go back up here to this tool. Right click, fill, and I need to fill with black. And there I have it. Let's just show this full screen. What do you think of that?
I like it.
Let's just look at some things that we could do with this. If I select all, Control A, and then if I right click and say free transform, I can rotate this around. So maybe I'd like the Prudential building to be at 12 o'clock. Well, there it is. Or what if I wanted some other building, maybe the one with the crane, to be up at the top? You could do that. I'm not sure what this tall building is, but maybe if you're going to try and sell this to them, maybe you put them on top.
John Hancock Tower.
John Hancock Tower, there you go. So if you're going to try and peddle this image to see if they might want to buy it, you might put them on top. So these are things that you could do. I kind of like I think that's the Prudential, I believe, right there. And we'll just say OK to that. And we don't have to worry too much about the blackout here because, once again, so I should be able to come out here, say select inverse, and then fill with black. And there are all the edges filled. So that's polar coordinates in 7 easy steps. So let's do this one more time, but this time I'm going to add a little more water. So just for now, I'm going to save this. And I'll save it as a PSD file in Beth's folder. So starting from scratch again. So let's open this file one more time. And this time, let's think about sky replacement. I want the edit and sky replacement. And I'd like to find some sky that's going to splice nicely, like that. We'll say OK to that. And I might want that to be just slightly lighter. All right, I like that. So let's just flatten this. Layer, flatten image. Yes. Now we're going to do the same trick of cropping this. But this time we'll add some water. Maybe that amount there. Now I can tell immediately we're going to have to work on this water because this side is a lot lighter than this side. But the sky should come together a little bit easier. And I think we can probably make this work down here. So we will go to Image, and we're going to say Crop. Now, the next step is to go back to Image and Image Size. And we have to have this unchecked, so we're going to make this 10 by 10. And we'll say OK. We need to do the offset, filter, offset, or if I come down here to other, you'll see offset. And this is where the sky is going to be a little easier to work with. So if I just grab the patch tool and grab this area here, I think I should be able to make that match a little bit nicer. Don't be shy to zoom in. Oh, this is where I had to use the spot healing brush to try and get rid of this building here. And I'll see if I can clean that up at the same time. That'll work. Keeping in mind this is going to be on the bottom, remember, or on the inside. Okay, that's not bad. Now down here we have a little issue. So down here we do have to do some work. And what I'm going to start with is the patch tool, just to see what would happen if I just grabbed this and moved it over. That's not too bad. And what if I grab this portion of the water and move this one over. You just get creative. You see, that's not too bad. That almost looks like a shadow down there, so that's not too bad. So next I have to turn this whole thing upside down. So image rotation, 180 degrees. Remember, this down here is going to be on the inside, and what's down on the other side is going to be on the outside. So now I'm going to take this and go to step number 6. And so here's filter and distort, and then we go to polar coordinates. And again, we want rectangular to polar, and we'll say OK. And now here is the result, and now we have water in the middle. Now you could go with more or less water in the middle. I think the sky came out looking really nice. Having done the sky replacement, you can see a little bit here, but again, with a little more time, you could make that look better. And once again, we can rotate this whole thing. So let's go ahead and try doing that circle. So I'm going to take the rectangular marquee tool, and this time I'm going to go with a little bigger feather because I think 20 wasn't enough. So I'll go up to in the 40 something, and I'm just going to draw this circle out, try and get this centered about like that. Well, maybe I'll go more because that blue sky is kind of nice. We can always trim it down. And if I choose the inverse, and then I click outside and say, I've said select inverse. I've already done that. So now I'm going to say fill, and I'll fill with black. And I'll just click out. Now that gives me a nice soft border around. And once again, we can rotate this and then just fill it with black as needed. So that in 7 easy steps is polar coordinates. If ever there's a key to it, is when you shoot something, you want the left side and the right side to match as best as you can. And if they don't match, then you're going to have to do some finessing to make that come together. And the easiest way to do that, again, is using that offset so you can see how it's got to go. And then you step through the rest of the steps, and this is your end product. And from here, you can do with this whatever you would like. I didn't have to put black around the edge. I could have gone with white. I could have gone with a solid color. I could have put a stroke around it. There's any number of things you could do. And this might make for a really nice clock face. I've seen some clock mechanisms that you can purchase that you could print this and then put the clock mechanism over this, and you could choose which building you want to have at noon or whatever other time. I've seen some watches where you can upload your own artwork, and they'll print this and they'll put it into a watch for you. How cool would it be to have your own image in a watch? And I think this lends itself perfectly to a circular presentation. Let's just save this one. So let's just look at a couple of others that I've done. Here's one that I did for Portland, Maine. I called this one Around Portland. Not everything lends itself to a polar coordinate. This is just some boats that were at a mooring. The only thing that worked out really good here was the fog. It came together really nicely. Here's a shot that I did from Portland, and there was a sailing schooner that went through, and this was at sunset. And this one I just could not make this match, so I went ahead and kept that a hard edge by taking a shot of a bunch of runners and wrap them around to make this shot. Here's another one that anybody who's traveled out west might even know where this is. Anybody care to guess? I'll give you a hint. It's in Death Valley. This is the Britsky Point. You've probably heard of it, and you've probably never seen it like this. But when I took the picture, I just happened to notice that the left and the right side just seemed to match so nicely that you can't really tell how that's joined. And that's the magic if you can make that work. And the colors were just kind of nice there too. Anyone want to guess what city this is?
Chicago.
Yes. Taken from the Adler Planetarium looking across the bay. So this is, I call my Around Chicago. This is New York City. taken from the water. And in this case, the clouds just happened to work out, and I kind of like the way that looked. It's kind of a fun shot of New York City. And can I end with one more here that might be an interesting one? When you have a scene like this, again, when you look at the left and the right, they could easily be blended together. And that's why I was able to make this one. See, this has got these trees down here. I made one other one where I put the trees looking up. And this is just some foliage taken from up in Cadillac Mountain, up in Acadia. So it's just a ball of foliage. So again, it's something you can have a lot of fun with. And I would recommend following the steps and giving it a whirl, literally, and see what you come up with. So there is polar coordinates in 7 easy steps. I hope you go and try it and have some fun with it. And I'd like to see what you come up with. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again another night.